How many languages can you speak? In the first year, how was it for you?
Definitely a big culture shock.
Was it hard for you to learn English?
My English skill is very low.
If there was a third language that you would want to speak, what would it be?
Mandarin, I feel like it's the language of the future.
Do you have any tips for anyone on like how to learn a different language?
Okay, so don't go to
Hey, so we're in Toronto. We're going to be asking people how many languages do you speak? Stay tuned. How many languages can you guys speak?
Two as well.
Two. What languages do you guys speak?
French and English. Spanish and English.
one fluently, two semi-okay.
Fluently as in English or?
Yeah, English.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's this two semi-okay?
Mandarin and Japanese.
Which one do you speak more?
Mandarin better, I guess.
So I can speak around 3, I'd say, but one of them is very like
So-so?
mediocre. Yeah, social.
What are the three?
So it's English, obviously, Bengali, and then Arabic, because I lived in the Middle East for a bit, so like I understand and I can kind of communicate, but that's about it.
English and French.
How many languages do you speak?
Only one.
Only one language?
Chinese.
But you're speaking English.
Well, I don't consider that I can speak English, but like my English skill is very low.
Yeah, but I think you speak really well because you're able.
English, Russian, a little bit of French.
English and Mandarin.
I speak Hindi, Bengali, and English.
Was English a native language for you, or?
Bengali is my mother tongue.
Yeah.
But I went to a school where the first language was English. So I started learning very young, so like at 3 years old.
I can speak Mandarin, Chinese, maybe half English.
How many languages do you speak, Harley?
One.
Okay, I'm guessing it's English, right?
It is English.
English.
2 language.
Which languages do you speak?
English and Korean.
How many languages do you speak?
2.
Two. Which languages?
Mandarin English.
Which one is your mother language?
Mandarin.
I speak English and a little bit of Mandarin and a dialect called Shanghainese.
Cantonese, English.
How many languages can you speak?
2.
And which languages are those?
Russian and English.
English and Japanese.
Which one was your first language?
Japanese.
2.
Which languages do you speak?
Mandarin and English.
English and Japanese. Are you filming right now?
So desu ne.
Oh my god.
How come you can speak French?
I did French immersion all through high school.
Okay, and how come you can speak Spanish?
I'm American, so our second language that we learn in school is Spanish. Sorry.
How come you know French?
I was in immersion from like elementary up until grade 12.
Basically spent 12 years studying French in
Yeah.
school. Did you ever get the chance to go to like France or Quebec?
I lived in Ottawa, so I was pretty close to Quebec pretty often, but not France.
Did you speak French in Ottawa like often, or what was it like there?
There's often, I worked in retail, so there was often somebody who'd come over from Quebec, so sometimes, but it's not too frequent.
Have you guys ever had the chance to go to like France or Spain or go to a different country to use the language?
Yeah, it was good, but I find a lot of French people, if you're not like completely fluent or francophone, they won't talk back to you.
Was that in France? Or?
Yeah, in France and even in Quebec as well.
Is there some sort of attitude they give you?
When I was a lot younger, so I don't think I got quite the attitude, but I've heard some stories.
Okay. Do you speak any of those at home, or is
I speak it with like my grandparents.
Mandarin?
Yeah.
You learning Japanese?
Yeah, just for fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been learning Japanese?
On and off, 5-6 years.
In the first year, how was it for you? Like learning that? Were you learning it, or?
Definitely a big culture shock. It was mandatory to learn Arabic at school, so we were all placed into like, they like gave us a test when we first entered school, and they like judged like how well we could converse in Arabic.
Yeah.
And so because I'm Muslim, so I grew up reading the Quran and I knew how to write and read in Arabic, they put me in level 2 and they realized I had no idea what I was saying. And so they put me back to level 1. And so yeah, I started at level 1.
When you first came to Toronto, where was your English? Was it like on a scale of 1 to 10?
0.
0? And how about now? 2. Was it hard for you to learn English?
Somewhat.
Yeah, it's too hard for beginning.
Yeah, essentially like I just started watching all the cartoons and stuff and movies that I knew in Russian, in English.
Oh,
and then
okay.
I stared speaking English
Yeah.
a little bit. Then a few years later it kind of became easy, second nature.
When did you start learning English?
Like a long time ago at school.
I went to this English speaking school. When I started like preschool, I began learning.
Was that in China or was that in Canada?
It was at Taiwan.
My parents immigrated here when I was 4, so starting when I was 4.
Oh, so you grew up basically speaking both?
Yeah.
If there was a third language that you would want to speak, what would it be?
Maybe Italian.
Why Italian?
A lot of my friends are Italian, and it's cool like listening to them speak to their parents.
I'd definitely be Spanish, just because I like how the language sounds, and I'd love to converse in it.
I want to learn Korean, Japanese, and French.
Have you actively tried to learn any of those, or?
I took the French placement test, but I got placed in elementary French 3.
Yeah.
But the only course available was in fall,
Okay.
and it's winter right now, so I have to wait till next year to take that one.
I want to say French, but that's kind of basic.
I'd say like Mandarin,
Why?
because there's so many people. Mandarin, I feel like it's the language of the future.
Do you have any tips for anyone on like how to learn a different language?
Speak it more often. That's my problem mostly. I listen a lot and I don't speak, so I
Okay.
forget words. So if you can practice speaking, that would be great.
It's very much conversational, so I'd really suggest watching TV shows or watching something that's like in the language to really just like expose you, and watch it with English subtitles, expose like the word and like match it as you're watching. But definitely, yeah, it's conversational, using it with friends, people who speak it. That's where you learn rather than just like reading a textbook or Duolingo.
Try to find people who can speak that and learn to have more conversations with them. I find that's the easiest way. And if possible, you should travel abroad to the country that speaks that language.
Immerse yourself in it as much as you can. Listen to songs, movies, shows, even ones you've watched before, and try to speak it as much as you can, even if it's garbage. You know, don't lose confidence and keep trying and it'll work out.
You know, even though you actually want to learn it, don't force it too much.
Repetition, I'd say, was what helped me the most.
I think to learn a language, theory, it comes with practice. So the more you speak, the easier it becomes for you to understand and speak that language. I found that speaking helps me a lot, and they feel kind of awkward about speaking their own language, and I think that's not something that's right. If you have your own language and your own mother tongue, take pride in it. It's okay if it's a new language that you're learning. It's great that you want to learn that language, and it's really a good thing that you want to learn and show that skill, but then you should take pride in your own language, so don't be underconfident.
If anyone wanted to learn Russian, what kind of tips would you have for them?
Okay, so get patient. For example, my last name. Okay, I'm gonna challenge you. So try to pronounce my last name. It's безденежных.
Безденежных.
It literally means penniless, without money. But did you hear how many zh sounds? It's really harsh. So it's challenging. So you have to learn how to tweak your mouth so you can pronounce all that complicated sounds. Yeah.
What tips do you have for someone if they want to learn Cantonese?
Don't go to Chinese school.
Don't go to Chinese school.
Don't go Chinese school.
Why?
It's just a bad way to learn. I think they just make you copy and paste the same word over and over again for 2 pages.
Do you have that experience?
Yeah, I dropped out in grade 2. That's to show. I don't know, have Chinese parents.
Have Chinese parents. Okay, I'm gonna try to get Chinese parents. Do you have any advice for someone that wants to learn Mandarin?
I think it's one of the hardest language to learn, definitely. Even my mother tongue is Mandarin. I still think I'm 50% there.
For me, it's my natural language, my first language, so it's a lot easier for me to pick up, especially once you're younger. And when you're young, you pick things up and you learn things a lot easier. For a lot of people who didn't grow up speaking I would say Asian languages, it's a lot of patience and just getting used to using your tongue in a certain way.
Yeah.
Just move to Taiwan.
You have to move to Taiwan?
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
To learn pinyin. Second, you should to learn word, 汉字. After, you can learn 同音汉字. 同音汉字, the meaning is pronunciation is the same, but it's different.
Can you give me an example?
鱼, fish. Fish is 鱼, but extra 鱼 too.
Depending on context?
Yes. 同 we can say 同
Yeah.
统统一的统 Yeah.
Tong. Can you teach me how to say hi, how are you in Bengali?
Tumi kamo nacho.
Tumi kamo nacho?
Yeah. And good is bhalo. So I reply saying bhalo.
Tumi kamo nacho?
Bhalo.
Give us a basic phrase. How do you if they want to learn hi, how are you?
Ni hao ma.
Ni hao ma. How do you say hello, how are you in French?
Bonjour, comment ça va?
How do you say the winter in Canada is brutal?
非常痛苦.
非常痛苦. How do you say that in Russian? Is there a way to say that, a cool way? If you put if there's a will, there's a way?
Если ты хочешь, то ты, наверное, сможешь.
Если ты хочешь, ты сможешь. And maybe you can teach us one phrase in Mandarin or Japanese, anything. Teach us a phrase. Maybe let's go with Mandarin.
I think it's important. 我听不懂.
I don't understand?
Yeah, I think it's important.
Okay, that's a good one. 我听不懂. All right, thank you so much. All right, so that wraps up the video for today. It was really fun. We got to talk to a lot of different people, learn about different languages and cultures. If you have any thoughts about it, leave it in the comments. And please leave a like and subscribe and check us out. Stay tuned for the next vid.